Well, hello there and welcome back on over to the Cozy Club, my friends. It is a beautiful day for a little bit of DSA, and boy, has it been a while since I have said that. Guys, we've got a banger of a video for you guys today as we're going to be talking about the El Caliente, the fire, the hot, and the rising sizzling characters in the month of November for Disney Sorcerer's Arena. We've been doing this for quite a while, and if you guys are new here, this is where we talk about the characters that are spicing up or characters that have already been really good and they're getting even better, guys. With games like this, the meta's kind of all over the place, and characters, they rise, they fall, they go from being really great to not being good at all, or sometimes one character comes out and makes all of the difference. So, my friends, that means for you guys today, we have 10 characters that you guys can take a look at, see if you have them farmed up or geared up, and if you don't, maybe start considering adding them to your team and your roster if it makes sense for the rest of the projects that you guys are working on. After all, this is a slow-paced game, and planning who you're going to farm and who you're going to invest in is vital in your success. Now, let's go ahead and get started with today's video, but before that, we've got the question of the day, which has got to be about Thanksgiving. Very important question. Are you a mashed potatoes guy, a turkey guy, a spinach guy? What is the best Thanksgiving food out there? Do you like your mashed potatoes at 2 a.m. the night after? Or do we even put sweet potatoes in the S or A tier rank? What exactly are the S and A tier for Thanksgiving? And why is it mashed potatoes, guys? Obviously, you got to go with the white meat turkey. And I figured this out. In southern states where I grew up in Texas, we have white gravy. I didn't know that wasn't a big thing. Apparently, dark gravy is the usual, but let me know down below what is your favorite food. I'm a massive foodie, so I'm sure half of y'all's answers I'm going to agree with as well. Alrighty, well, welcome in, my friends. That Thanksgiving turkey is not going to be the only thing that is hot on Thanksgiving. We've got some hot and rising characters to talk about today, my friends. So let's go ahead and start off with number 10. These are in no specific order, and we're going to kind of break down why they're on the rise. We're going to start off with someone I've been wanting to make a video about. Number 10 on the hot and rising in November is going to be Randall Boggs. Let's go ahead and kick it off with the villain and the newest, latest, and greatest reworked, refreshed character in the game, Randall Boggs. Now, I said I've been wanting to do a video on him for a while, as Randall is a very interesting and definitely character that is hot and sizzling. Now, let's go ahead and break him down and kind of talk about the pros and cons of Randall. Now, first of all, he can deliver some monster damage, no pun intended there. He can do great offense numbers out there and is just a phenomenal character. If you are all about the raids, my friends, that is where Randall is going to shine the most. He does well in PvP, but his kit is kind of catered to do even better towards the raid. Now, a couple things to call out that people don't really know about Randall. His survivability is off the charts with Elite Scarer. He has a way to really heal up himself from just nothing all the way up to full health. He can cleanse on his own. He doesn't really need teammates around him, just like in Monsters Inc. Very selfish character and doesn't need help from others. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple of his abilities. So Vanishing Act is just great to pump out fear. Very high potency on this attack. Great to land a harmful effect on a raid boss or on a Hercules beast, someone a little bit harder to land on. And then you have Scream Extractor. Now, one thing you could say as a con per se for Randall is he's definitely going to be the best of the best at Gear 9. His ability upgrades is going to skyrocket him from pretty dang good to excellent. But even before Gear 9, he can do a lot well. And he's kind of like an offensive Esmeralda a little bit. But again, he's kind of all about himself, right? So Scream Extractor. This thing has an extremely fast cooldown within the raid. When you use it within raids, he gets a 3 magic back to it, having it be available every other turn. And what's great about this is at Gear 9, when you defeat someone like a Twister with this ability, he's going to get a bonus turn. So you're going to have Randall getting consistent bonus turns and having this available all the time. However, even before that Gear 9, this thing can inflict silence for 2 turns, which is great in PvP. Awesome damage, but reduce target opponent's speed meter by 50%. This ability is kind of what separates Randall from the rest of the downtown villain damage dealers. You know, with the downtown villains, if you do have a team and you have an offense character like Demona or Zerg, there may not be a lot of use for you to get Randall Boggs. But because of Scream Extractor and that turn meter that you're just draining from the Titans, this is a great ability and someone that I suggest even getting him up a little bit to access that 50% reduction. You don't have to have him at high gear level if you want to use him for his utility. Overall, though, Randall is getting better and better. Great in PvP, definitely can stick with a lot of the top teams, and a phenomenal character within the raids that is starting to make his way in every team of mine. Next up, we've got King Triton. Now, guys, King Triton has been out for quite a while now, and he is considered the raid king, right? The raid god. Let's talk about why is he back on the rise? Well, a lot of people kind of forgot about King Triton and they weren't thinking he was doing enough within the raids. And if you guys have seen any of the latest and greatest videos of the team guides that we've pumped out there, Triton can truly make any team get about 500,000 damage with the right offense damage dealer. Now, I love to put him with Elsa. I love to put him with Merida. And it's all about his leadership ability. So many people think that this prismatic blessing bug where he's calling people to assist, not even at gear 9, is why you want to use him. And that's great, and that really pumps up the damage. But why I love him is just how his lead works with healing within the raid. And now, you know, if you look back when the Forbidden Deaths was out compared to now, there are so many more healers, so many more ways to gain that bonus speed turn meter. And on top of that, if you're investing in him for the raid, you're also going to get a great person to score you high damage scores on those leaderboard contests. If that's something that you're into, definitely Triton is going to be useful there. I like Triton. I think the future is bright for him because the Oceanics are due to get a lot of love. Triton is a safe pick for the raid lovers and for the damage contest leaders. Definitely someone to at least go after. Start farming that tower if you haven't. He's definitely on the hot and rising in November. We have another Oceanic, my friends. It is Wendy Darling. Guys, Wendy Darling, I believe I put on my last hot and rising a long time ago, and she was not available to farm. However, she is now a Club Conquest reward, and I gotta tell you, she's definitely been hot and rising since we've made that video. Wendy Darling is such a great character. In fact, in my opinion, one of the best raid characters within the game. You see, my friends, what I want to talk about is Peter Pan Shadow. For a long time now, Shadow has all but busted the game. There's been so many ways to manipulate it and to really break it, right? You can Shadow Hercules, you can Shadow Glitch to have Ralph trigger off. There's so many ways in PvP to abuse it, but within the raid, there's even more ways to work the shadows in your advantage. And Wendy truly makes every single team a little bit better, depending on where you plug her. Put her with Maleficent, you're sky high near 2 million damage. You could put her with Sulley for even more damage, or I like to put her with Genie as of late for a Kingdom raid team. Netting you about 500,000 damage or 300, even empowered, is great with Genie as the front leader of offense. I know a lot of people love Genie out there, but Wendy kind of gives everybody that ability. Now, one thing that I love about her as well is if you don't have Maleficent and everyone else out there does, Wendy Darling here is able to cleanse Enthrall from Maleficent. You see, Enthrall is a lot like Charm in the game, and the game coding kind of treats it the same. And so you've got this character in PvP even that can instantly cleanse it, great for Club Conquest, and she's going to boost up the theory crafting and the raid potential for all of your teams. She should be the #1 focus, but the only way to get her really is Club Conquest winning. So make sure you and your club are dominating Club Conquest, and hopefully you guys can get your hands on her pretty soon. Next up on the list is going to be our first Sorcerers chosen on this list of the Hot and Rising, and it is a cold, cool, collected character, Olaf. My gosh, would I've never thought Olaf would have made this list. Now, why is Olaf hot and rising? What could he possibly be doing? So many people are saying he might be the worst Sorcerers chosen out there, and you are going to be wrong, guys. Olaf is a great character. He's not a phenomenal, like, you know, put everything you have into the guy, but he does a lot of things great, and Frozen in general are on the rise, both in PvP, but mainly within the raids as well. Elsa is capable of pumping out some of the record damage numbers, and Olaf is only going to complement that. But even if you remove him from Frozen, what I love about him and the strategy that I've been using a ton within the Siege on Olympus is going to be with Living the Dream. Now, you put out tactics on anybody you want, but in addition to that, you can increase the helpful effects on that character. Now, the best way you can do this is go ahead and get crit power up on a character with Woody, with Barley, and then bam, you go ahead and extend that and you keep the damage numbers coming out strong from your raid characters. And that is one of my favorite things. Great survivability, obviously, within the raids. He's got a charm for PvP. You are not going to use him within PvP, but I will tell you guys, he's definitely rising on my list as someone that I've kind of overlooked, and I'm definitely liking what he is doing with his reduction of turn meter, with his extension of helpfuls, the charm, the healing, the survivability. All of this puts Olaf on the hot and rising list. Let's go ahead and talk about the only other SC on this list, guys. As you know, all of the SCs are very great. However, I want to take another moment to talk about Sulley, just in case people didn't watch my other raid team videos. Let's talk about Sulley and why she is rising on our list as well. And what does she do well? And who would want to farm her and why? Now, guys, Sulley is going to be your answer, whether you have Maleficent or you don't, if you plan on using the big-time damage-dealing Ian nuke teams out there. Now, if you don't know, Ian is making a lot of clubs capable of taking on tiers that are pretty hard within the Siege on Olympus because of the sheer damage numbers that Ian can nuke out there. And Sulley is going to complement that perfectly. Now, a lot of people obviously don't have Maleficent, and Maleficent makes those runs a heck of a lot easier. However, Sulley, guys, we've talked about her before. Her basic, able to just pump out so much continuous damage on the raid bosses, is what really helps Ian get the big time boom out there. Ian is going to deal more damage per helpful effect. And the fact of the matter is, her basic is her best move by far. Now, you're going to be spamming this basic as much as possible, landing it on harmful effects and empowering Ian to do the big damage numbers that he can. On top of that, she's got a sleep to take care of those pesky twisters and the ice spikes, but Fog Juice is kind of an emergency, break the glass. You know, the twisters are having a turd come up. Throw that AoE blind out there and you're good to go. She has good survivability to kind of handle the Lava Titan's debuffs, and on top of everything, she's a great complement as an SC to some great damage dealing teams. I love Sulley. You don't have to do much with her. You don't even have to gear her all that much. Just get her eligible to go in the raid that you're currently in. Next up, it's got to be Chunk. Guys, I've loved Chunk since his mere existence. However, there are so many tanks that do the job. Chunk often gets overlooked. A lot of people kind of came back to him with the Ascension campaign and needing to gear him up anyway. However, let's talk about what Chunk does so well and makes him a very hot and sizzling character for the month of November. Guys, what I love about Chunk is his ability and his passive. His passive has a strong potency chance to pump out fear on the Titans, even with the Rock Titan up. And in addition to that, he's able to gain a lot of shields and a lot of survivability that way, keeping your team alive for a very long time. And Ground Pound has that ability to extend those harmful effects like Fear to keep it going another turn. You can get offense down on there, or like on the Lava Titan, to keep that slow, or to have Frozone keep on doing that damage. You can keep extending it to make sure there's enough slows in order for the Frozone or Slap Zone teams to work. I love him for kind of a multi-purpose job. He's one of my favorite characters within the raid and definitely sizzling up. He's going to help you in most game modes. He's going to help you for the Scrooge event, Ascension campaign, the raids, you name it. You got to get Chunk on your roster if you're serious about the Siege on Olympus. Next up on the Hot and Rising, does this even surprise you guys? I almost didn't put him on here because it's so obvious. Sulley is so dang good within this game, guys. He went from 0 to the definition of hero and is by far one of my favorite characters for all game modes because the guy can do it all. He has incredible survivability with his passive of the shields and the defense. Great damage with Not Boo's Door. Great synergy and the capability to even get better. Like, Sulley's a great character on his own, and then you can invest in Mike, and then you kind of take him up to a whole nother level. Guys, even if you're far off from getting Mike Wazowski, Sulley can do things by himself better than most people can with, you know, a full team. I love him. There's so many reasons to go after him. If you haven't seen it already, go check up the video up above and that'll sum it up pretty well. Next, we have a legendary on the list, and Cozy. Can you even include a legendary on a hot and rising list? Shouldn't they always be hot and sizzling? Yes, Elsa has started to cool down. You know, she's an ice queen after all. But guys, Elsa was kind of just looked at as, the legendary that free-to-play can get early and, not a lot of use there. Let me tell you guys, Elsa by far has some of the most damage potential within the raids. Looking at all characters all around, I prefer her to Hercules when it comes to the Siege on Olympus raid. Now, Cozy Club, listen here. My favorite thing about Elsa is that she can kind of ramp up herself with helpful effects rather than depending on other characters or, what's on their boss or what's on a PvP team. She can do it all by herself. She's got turn meter reduction. She's got a silence, big AoE damage. She can survive one-shots. Elsa is getting better and better. Now, she's not going to be, among the elite for PvP. She's way up there. She's not, top 10 or top 5 maybe. But within the raids, she is top 10 in my book. Really great character and someone that I continue to discover new and improved strategies with. Elsa, a lot of people should have on the roster. If you get Olaf up and going, Elsa's going to complement that perfectly. And guys, just in general with the way the Titans and the whole raid mechanics work, my friends, this Ice Queen is heating up big time. So we have gotten to Ian. Now, look, I know it's another character that it should be on this list for a multitude of reasons. We've made a plethora of videos at this point, so you're welcome to go check those out. Ian, guys, he does it all. He's great in the raids. He's great in PvP. He's going to help you along the way in your DSA journey. Truly, Ian has always been great, but he's been lacking the support around him. Now, another thing that I love about Ian is that his brother is still staying highly relevant within the raids and even some in PvP. Guys, Ian is a no-brainer. One of those that I'll let you guys check out my other videos, but his damage potential and his ability to kind of escalate your whole club is the main primary reason that you guys should at least get this guy T7, T8. He's just one of those characters that provide instant value that you won't regret. And for our last character, ladies and gentlemen, for the hot and rising in November, it is Demona, guys. Demona has kind of been always rising for the past year. Like, she's kind of always been getting better. You go look at the tier list, if you look at everything around her and the villains scaling up as a whole. But now with Dr. Facilier, with the gargoyles coming out, everything that Demona does is excelled to the 10th degree. Guys, her basic is one of the hardest hitting in the game, both in PvP and in the raids. Rocket Launcher is an insane ability. Her Recite is able to extend debuffs. We're looking at all debuffs now, putting her well with Ian, putting her with DTV, and then her passive is absolutely devastating. Guys, Demona is just a solid BA of a character that can fit into most teams. You get her very early on, so you're not going to regret using her in the Villains campaign. And by far, she's honestly my favorite quick character to get the job done. Like, she can get you empowered within just seconds when paired up with Dr. Facilier. I just absolutely love Demona. Guys, get her in the early game, put some nice gear into her, and then she's going to kind of work well into the later game. If you have Dr. Facilier, you got easy damage runs within the raid and a solid character at that. So without further ado, here are your 10 hot and rising characters. I'm covering up Sulley, but the rest of them right down below, my friends. All these characters getting much better and their improvement is definitely jumping off the charts. Excited to see kind of what limits they break in December. And comment down below if you guys want me to also do a hot and rising in the snowiest month for most of you guys. Not here in San Diego, but like the East Coast and other parts of the world in December. My friends, hopefully you enjoyed today's hot and rising video. Let me know what character intrigued your interest the most and who are you considering working on. Guys, I'll say it again and I keep saying it. I love hearing comments from you guys. My friends, have a beautiful day and until next time, stay cozy.